David Samson is with us, and there is a bombshell report as we speak from ESPN that I want to talk about. And I want to talk about it at least in part because ESPN is one of the last ones doing this kind of journalism. League partners don't do what ESPN just did, which is Pulitzer Prize winner Don Van Natta and Seth Wickersham, two of their best reporters, are reporting that Daniel Snyder has hired private investigators, says he has dirt on all the other owners, will blow up at least 6 owners, has hired private investigators to get, that one was unbelievable to me, to get information on the league office, on Goodell, on fellow owners, because he is ready for a fight at what would appear possibly, what would appear to be possibly the beginning of the end, although I've been saying that for a while about Daniel Snyder. So we bring in David Samson now. Thank you for joining us, sir. What did you make of this report? Because I could have guessed some of it, but the league clearly doesn't want this. They have, according to the report, threatened millions of dollars in fines to anyone who leaks this kind of information anonymously, and yet it is getting leaked. And I don't think Amazon's going to do this in the future, or anybody who gets a league partnership with the NFL, but ESPN is still doing this kind of reporting. So, David, what was most interesting to you about what you read?
The fact that everybody who's been in the game knows that owners do not like each other, whether it's in the NFL or in Major League Baseball. We all pretend to like each other, and all team presidents pretend to like each other, but we're all very competitive. But there is a line that you cross and that you do not cross, And the line you do not cross is that when you know something, and we all know stuff about other people and other people know stuff about us, you are not using that as a sword. You're using that as a shield. And what Daniel Snyder is doing, this is what is being reported, is that he has now decided to switch it from a shield to a sword, where he is now going to the league office and going to the owners and saying, listen, you better stop. Call off the dogs, because I'm not going anywhere. And if you vote me out, which they have the right to do, I'm coming after you, because I'll already be gone, and you can't lower the value of my franchise. You can't make me not get the proceeds. I could be the #1 racist, sexist, misogynist of all time, and I'm still going to get multiple billions of dollars for the team. But guess what? Everyone in the world will know what I know about you. And that is what ESPN is reporting, and I don't doubt its veracity for 1 second.
One of the back and forths that I read in the story was the Washington Commanders spokesman denying everything, and also somebody being quoted as saying the way the spokesman denied everything. No problems here, don't worry about it, as the owners head into league meetings where it would appear that Daniel Snyder has gone from shield to sword because he knows he has to go from shield to sword because the pressure is mounting. But when you say the owners don't like each other, one of the quotes in the story from an anonymous source was, it's not that the owners don't like each other, it's that they all don't like Daniel, that he's the one that they don't like.
Yeah, so that's not exactly how it goes. There is a gradation, right? So you don't like anybody, but you like some people more than others. Daniel Snyder is like Artie Moreno is the example in baseball, where it's not kumbaya between owners in Major League Baseball. It's not like 4 times a year they sit around at owners' meetings and they pretend to have drinks and sit at a dinner in their assigned seat, and then they go along their merry way. But there is sort of a pecking order of owners they don't want to be around, that they would prefer not be in the game. And Daniel Snyder's at the top of that list the way Artie Moreno is in baseball. And one would now ask, is Danny Snyder at the top of that list because he is the one following them and having dossiers and having all this information, and they don't trust him in that way, and they're all guilty of not being perfect? Who amongst us is perfect? Who amongst us would want to be followed 24 hours a day by anyone? That would not be great for just about anyone I know, me included. Therefore, what's next? And I think that ESPN needs to think about this, and the NFL needs to think about this. And I want to mention the timing because we haven't yet. The Commanders play tonight. Amazon has a huge decision to make tonight with Al Michaels. Are they going to discuss this? And that will be done in consultation with the NFL. And I can bet you dollars to donuts, this story does not come up on the broadcast.
How many donuts?
Usually just a dozen.
Yeah.
How real is his threat? Meaning,
if he says, if I go down, I'm taking you down with me, is that enough for him to retain his position because the other owners do actually fear that?
So that's the first thing that I did on Nothing Personal today is I explained what is going to happen today between Roger Goodell and the other owners. There have to be confirmation conference calls. Hey, tell me again, Jerry, what you've done. I'm going to need a list. Is there any misogyny, any racism? Is it just sexual related? Is it just you having power over your team? Though you call yourself the GM, you're the one who actually is allowed to have the power over your team. Are you meddlesome? Did you not hire this person or that person? We're going to need a list. And they're going to go from owner to owner trying to figure out where are the ghosts in the closet. Skeletons, in the closet. I don't know why I said ghost in the closet. And then they have to make a decision. That's the way it works when you threaten and when you are fighting your way out of a corner. Either you get your bluff called and you only do that if you have nothing to hide, or you settle and you do that when you do have something to hide. So this next set of circumstances with Daniel Snyder is going to be critical, including giving him a longer runway than they want to, a guarantee that he'll sell within 5 years or within 4 years. Or if he sells now and he gets kicked out now, then that is because the owner said, you got nothing on me. I never go to a strip mall and get a massage. I never have done anything wrong that I wouldn't want to read about in the paper. The problem is I'm not sure there's one owner who can look at Roger Goodell and say, I got nothing to hide.
Probably should clarify when you say, is it just sexual related? You're talking about sexual or private shames or kinks or happy endings or proclivities there. You're not talking about the same kind of workplace issues that Daniel Snyder already has.
Thank you. I'm sorry, Dan. Thank you for clarifying that. That is exactly what I'm talking about. What Daniel Snyder is saying is taking someone down. The NFL, there's no story here that there is another front office or another situation where they're doing what the Commanders did. That doesn't exist. But there could be plenty of Robert Kraft situations out there. And that would be the happy endings that you're referring to.
How rare is it, because it's not something that I've read before, but I don't know how rich people fight. How rare is it for the report to say that Daniel Snyder is hiring private investigators on at least 6 owners?
So let me ask you this. Do you think that there are a lot, some, or a few people who make a living as PIs?
Yeah, a lot.
And so who hires them? What are they being hired for?
This to find dirt, yes.
And there's plenty of them around. You can Google it, and they're in every city, everywhere.
I'm not asking you how rare is it for private investigators to get work. I'm asking you how rare it is for an owner to weaponize private investigators against other owners.
Rare. Because we don't need it. So we're aware of what the skeletons are. So that's the thing, that we all have dirt on each other, and there's just sort of an unspoken word that while we don't like each other, there's no reason to make that shield a sword, because in a sword fight, both people die. When 2 people have shields, no one dies.
Best guess, how does all of this end?
With Snyder gone. He's going to get a chance. What I think happens is he gets a chance to go full Sarver.
And you think it'll be how messy?
He gets a chance to announce that he's decided to sell the team.
And how messy will that be?
Oh, there'll be plenty of bidders in the billions of dollars, so it won't be messy for Snyder, and we'll forget about it.
No, I mean, how real is the threat? Like, if he gets to that point, it's because he's already decided whether or not he's going to quote unquote blow up, which is what the quote is. The quote in the story is that he's telling people he's going to blow up other owners, Goodell, and the league office with the dirt he has.
Isn't the best type of blowing up when you do it without telling someone you're going to do it? How many times in your experience when someone says, I am going to beat the crap out of you, that they actually end up doing it? And then the ones who are silent just come up and cold cock you, like what Draymond did. So I think that he is so loud and boisterous in his accusations and in his saying how much information he has, that I'm not sure that he's got anything. But Roger Goodell has to check.
You say he's loud and boisterous, but this is not something that he wants reported. Like, he's not being loud and boisterous publicly about this. This is stuff that's being leaked by anonymous people.
So that's an interesting question. Are you sure?
I mean, I don't know whether he's one of the leaks or one of the people in his organization or one of the leaks, but they say they talked to more than 30 sources that this is a habit that Snyder has, and I don't know that it's a very flattering habit that he has to walk around, pace, and think about how he's going to destroy things.
So let's talk about it, right? Because it makes him sound like Austin Powers a little bit. Not Austin Powers, Dr. Evil.
Yeah.
Right? It makes him sound like Dr. Evil, like sitting around in a spaceship trying to figure out what he's going to do to hurt people or take over the world. Except that's what a lot of people in business do. That's what happens in a lot of boardrooms where they're sitting around figuring out how to crush their competition, how to make them disappear. So what Daniel Snyder is doing is not that out of the ordinary. And why would he leak now? What would be in his best interest to have it known publicly that he's got stuff on other owners? Because every other owner already knows what stuff Daniel Snyder has because they know what they've done. And it was all very quiet. But now that it's loud, if Daniel Snyder is trying to get to an end game, get done with this issue finally, why wouldn't he leak?
I want to ask the room here what David says. Do you expect tonight's Amazon broadcast that has the Washington Commanders and the Chicago Bears rivaling last week's Thursday night game for the worst game you've ever seen, $78 billion a game for Amazon? I think David just snorted. When he says Amazon and Al Michaels will not mention it at any point during the broadcast, I would find that hard to believe, given that it's going to be the news of the day. Do you guys expect for it to be totally whitewashed and not heard?
I'd have Daniel Snyder on revealing all his secrets because no one's watching tonight's game. Like, who cares? Have him go out there and say it because no one is going to watch today.
I also
I'll bet you dollars to donuts on that not happening.
Well, I guess the only way for me that it ends up in the broadcast is if there's more developments. Right. And if I think the report in and of itself, I don't think they're like ESPN reported today that Daniel Snyder is plotting the ruination of other NFL owners. I don't think that's going to happen. I do have one. Hasn't Daniel Snyder already proven himself in this regard? Isn't the entire John Gruden thing perhaps an example of I'll take some people down with me? Because those emails were in association with an investigation into the Washington Commanders, and then those emails got out. Is maybe there's a chance that this is part of Daniel Snyder's plan? Like he's already kind of proved, hey, I took out Gruden. I'll take you down with me.
I have the NFL as having leaked the John Gruden emails, not Daniel Snyder.
Well, but it was part of the Bruce Allen investigation into their president, their wrong president.
Why would the NFL leak that, David?
Oh, they needed a fall person. They needed somebody to take responsibility, that's the whole John Gruden lawsuit, saying, why me? Why are you choosing me? I was one of 20 people talking about how misogynistic I am and how rude I am. But me? And now you're not going to pay me out? Come on.
Let's examine this for a second because I'm wondering if it bothers anyone else. There's a bit of news that will be the biggest bit of news in America's most popular sport today. You guys are telling me that in their sixth game or fifth game or whatever game this is on Thursday night for Amazon, that you believe that the league office and Amazon are talking and the league office is saying, Al Michaels is getting an order somewhere that comes from Goodell or elsewhere, do not mention this during the broadcast.
Without a doubt.
Man, I think I'm going to make that bet with you. I think at least in a glancing fashion, they have to mention it. It looks so.
What's a glancing fashion? How do you mention this in a glancing way?
It looks bought. It looks like you're bought. When you paid the $78 million per game, you get Bears, Commanders, and Broncos versus poop emoji, and you have to also eat it because you're bought. Like you have no. You're all about principle, not principles.
Okay. Are we doing the bet or not?
Yes. I bet you they mention it.
I mean, you're looking at it through a journalistic point of view. They're showing football games. They own the product. They're not going to be telling on themselves like that.
Did they tackle the Tua stuff? Like, I know that when Hines went out, they kind of said, oh, no.
Al Michaels says this is going to open up a hornet's nest, is what it is that Al Michaels said on the broadcast. And they might allude to it.
Are you talking about like pregame or during the game? Like when they're sitting around at the desk or like during the game? Because like during the game, why would they bring it up? You know,
well,
there's a game
because
going on.
I bet
because
it
is the number one thing in the news. It's the number one thing in news surrounding the Washington Commander. What? Ron Rivera's quotes about Carson Wentz are more important?
That's
that
coming
will
up.
come up.
That's coming
the
up.
fact that Tua went back to practice, that will come up during the game. The fact that what Rivera did with Wentz, and the fact that the Commanders are not playing well, and that the Eagles are the only undefeated team in football and in the NFC East. All of those things will come up, and I'll do the bet with you, Dan. That's both pregame, during game,
All right.
post game,
We will do
start
it.
to finish.